ChatGPT will confidently tell you whatever you feed it, true or not. Turns out your brain works exactly the same way, which means everything you believe about yourself, the good, the bad, and the brutal, is nothing more than a thought that you accidentally repeated enough times that it became a fact for you. My guest today, Lucy Osborne, is the global leader of intenSati and the voice behind the guided Miracle Morning S.A.V.E.R.S practices in the Miracle Morning app. She's the voice of the app, and she walked into a fitness class in New York City over a decade ago, convinced that if she could just get smaller, her life would finally get better. 20 minutes into that class, she was laughing, crying, and experiencing real, authentic joy, and nothing outside those four walls had changed. Not her body, not her bank account, not her relationships. What changed was the input. Today, Lucy explains exactly why your brain operates almost identically to ChatGPT. It finds evidence of whatever you feed it, and it acts accordingly, and how you start feeding it something that is better and more advantageous to you creating the life that you want and enjoying the life that you have, even if you don't believe a word of it yet. Make sure you stay until the end, because this conversation is going to shift something inside of you. Lucy Osborne.
Hi, Hal.
It is so great to be with you.
A pleasure. A pleasure. I'm so excited to be here.
I was just telling you, and you were nodding along before we started recording, that this is like the most long overdue conversation maybe in the history of my podcast. For those that don't know, among being a global leader of intenSati, you are the voice of the Miracle Morning app, meaning you are the primary person, spirit, if you will, that is leading guided S.A.V.E.R.S practices, and you have been since the beginning, for years and years and years. And so, and I hear Nick Conadera, the director of the Miracle Morning movie, when I first played one of your tracks in the app for him, I think I've shared this with you in the past. But he said, "I feel like her voice is giving me a hug." And I was like, yes, like you just articulated what's hard to put into words. So thank you for all that you've done for tens of thousands of users of the Miracle Morning app, first and foremost.
Thank you, Hal. I mean, thank you. I couldn't imagine that many people getting to get a hug from my voice. It's such an honor to do this work alone in my home with one or two people, with 10 or 20 people, but to get to like expand that impact through what you've created has been one of the greatest honors of my life. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And well, what's neat is it allows you to do what really matters for you, which is you're a stay-at-home mom. You have a 2.5-year-old, and you're from chasing daughter, correct?
Son.
I'm sorry, your
long
son.
curly hair and long eyelashes, but a son.
Amazing. Son, I apologize. But you're getting to do this work that impacts the world, which is really an interesting, like, I didn't plan on starting with this part of the conversation, but like, it's an interesting thinking about the future, and people are so nervous about AI. And in one word, it's creativity. Like, that's what's needed. And, human beings are still going to crave other human beings making an impact in their lives. And you have found a way to do it in a way where you're able to support your family, be with your family, and make an impact in the world. So anything to elaborate on that? Again, I know that wasn't part of my plan on what we talked about, but that's what's coming through right now.
Yeah, I feel like the luckiest person in the world, honestly, to get to do all that. And it- one feeds the other. So when I'm with my family, when I'm cooking for my wife and son, when I see him running through the park looking for worms, I'm thinking about this is what I want more of for everyone. I want this freedom. I want this connection. I want this joy. I want what he has, and I want everyone else to have what he has, and the warmth in our home. All of that then feeds whatever I create for the Miracle Morning. Any practice that I do, all of that energy goes there, and vice versa. I record
Yeah.
in my closet. So I come out of that closet, I see my family, and I'm like all juiced up, and I've just recorded these tracks, and I've been speaking and writing and reading and moving and saying affirmations, and I'm a different mom and a different wife for my family. So they feed each other completely. And like, who could be luckier to get to like have my life be that rhythm?
I love that. And it's circular. Yeah, the joy that you're experiencing with your family bleeds over into your work, and then you go, create some inspiring tracks for the Miracle Morning app, and then you come out of that, just like you said, just energized, excited. So that's beautiful. For those that don't know, because intenSati, that's your business, it's your mission, it's your work. It's also its own word. For those that aren't familiar with intenSati, can you explain what it is and where it came from? Because I think this will really set the tone for who you are, why you're the voice of the Miracle Morning app, what your expertise is, and where this conversation is going to really help them to utilize the tools that you are an expert in to enhance their own life.
Definitely. So intenSati actually comes from two words. It comes from the word intention and it comes from the word sati, which is the Pali word for mindfulness. So it's about being aware of where we are and intentionally setting the next step. So without judgment, taking awareness for how we feel, what circumstance we're in, what's happening in our mind and our heart, and then saying, okay, I accept that because it is what it is. And then who can I be next? And so that's where the word comes from. But what it is at its base a movement method. And usually when I describe like a mindful movement method, people are like slow yoga, flowy, but no, we've got like 135 beats per minute, music pounding, punching to the beat, dancing. So it's a cardio workout. And every move is paired with a spoken affirmation like, I'm powerful beyond measure. I'm stronger than I think. I have everything I need. And there's only 16 affirmations in an hour class. So we are repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating these words over and over again at the same time, pairing that affirmation with a movement. So when we're saying, I'm stronger than I think, saying an affirmation, and you know this, like saying an affirmation, writing affirmation has power. But when we embody it, when we are punching while we say that, the cognitive dissonance in our brain disappears because I'm no longer saying, well, I'm writing I'm strong, but I'm laying in bed and I haven't gotten out of bed yet and I don't feel very strong. Whether or not we're consciously making those connections in our brain, if I say I'm strong while I'm throwing a punch, my brain says, you're right, you are. Let me feed that. Let me feed that. And it's interesting that you start talking about AI because for all the things there are to think and say about AI, one thing I adore about it is the analogy now that I get to make to the brain, which is I find the brain to be a whole lot like ChatGPT. Like no matter what we put into it, it's going to be like, wow, Lucy, you are so right. Let me find 10 articles that back up what you said to me. So if I say like, I mess up everything I do, my brain will be like, you know what? You're right. And remember yesterday when you spilled the pasta on the floor and 3 days ago when you missed that phone call? But if I'm going in, the input I'm going in is like, I have everything I need. I have everything I need. I have everything I need. My brain is like, you're absolutely right. You've got a family. You've got a home. You have friends. So the input that we give is so important. So what intenSati does is it creates this practice where we get to move and embody new language and create new neural pathways in our mind. So that's where the beginning of my work started. And that's a seed that's like blossomed into communities and retreats and this work with the Miracle Morning, one-on-one work, group work, and really the bringing to life of what I'm devoted to in the world, like more joy, more power realization in people and more opportunities to self-express.
I love it. More hugs through the power of your voice.
Yes, please.
Um, I love that I'm totally gonna borrow that from you, that
Yeah.
analogy of like, yeah, AI, literally your brain and ChatGPT are very similar. Whatever you put in, that's what creates its reality, and that's the only thing it can operate from. I love I love that analogy. About two of my favorite products. I've been taking these for 4 years, and they are now a sponsor of the podcast. Cured Nutrition, Flow Gummies. I start every day with 2 of these. I meditate for 30 minutes without any supplements. And then I take Flow Gummies 7 days a week, almost every day. And then I go to bed with night oil. 30 minutes before bed, I take night oil and it helps me fall asleep and stay asleep. So I start my day with Flow Gummies. I end my day with night oil. If you want to implement my routine into your day with Cured Nutrition, go to curednutrition.com/Hal. Again, that's curednutrition.com/Hal and use the discount code HAL at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Flow Gummies to start the day, night oil to fall asleep. You'll feel better. You'll act better. You'll perform better. Check it out. How did you get started with intenSati? Like, where did you discover this work? How did you start with this?
Well, here's the story. So intenSati was created in 2002 by Patricia Moreno, who you have had on this podcast, who is really like the beginning of us even knowing each other. She has since passed. It is like a living legend in our world. And she created the practice of intenSati when I was a child. But when I was in my 20s, about 10 years ago, I was in New York City, and I truly believed that if I just changed my body, if I got smaller, that everything in my life would get better. I really thought if I could just change some things on the outside, I would finally get what I wanted on the inside. If I looked different, then I'd act different at work and I'd get promoted and I'd have more money in my bank account and I'd find someone would love me and they would choose me. And I just have to make these changes on the outside so that I can finally feel happy and worthy and loved. Like, I was like, that was my version of positivity. It's only one step away. I just have to make these changes and then I'll get those things. And so, like a good 20-year-old girl in New York City, I joined Equinox because what else would I do? And I walked into the gym with this one goal: get smaller, right? Shrink the outside. And I saw this class, intenSati, and people were streaming out of this class, like smiling and sweating. And like, I was like, okay, well, I'm looking for whatever that is. So I went into the class having no idea what it was. And I stood in the very back where I would not be seen or heard and said, all right, I'm just going to get my calorie burn and get out of here. And then Patricia, the founder, walked to the front of the room. I'd never seen her before. She's this Amazonian, beautiful woman with this powerful voice. And she was like, today we're going to experience joy for no reason at all. And everyone like cheered. I thought, that might work for this beautiful woman. And it might work for these little ladies in their leggings in the front row. But so much in my life would have to change in order for me to spontaneously feel joy. That's not real, but I'll do the workout. And so I'm there and the music starts coming and we're punching and we're jumping jacking and we're high-fiving and we're shouting and we're sweating. And 20 minutes in, I am laughing, crying, experiencing joy. And nothing outside of those four walls had
Mm.
changed. No more
You hadn't
money in
lost
my
the
bank
weight yet. You
account.
hadn't gotten smaller, right?
No, and none of the things that I thought I needed after I got smaller,
Yeah.
more money, someone choosing me in a relationship, this and that, none of that had changed, but I experienced joy. And so the class continued, and at the end of class, we were sitting in meditation with eyes closed, and I could tell the lights had come back on, and I could hear people's sneakers squeaking out of the room, and I was the only one left, and I was sobbing. And I was sobbing, one, because I couldn't believe what I had just experienced, this feeling in my body. But secondly, I was crying because I experienced how powerful I was, and I recognized how many years I'd had that power, but had been living completely powerlessly. I had been completely ignoring the fact that I could change the things that I was desperately trying to change. And so that was my first introduction to intenSati, and all I knew was that I wanted more. I was like, I want more of this feeling. And so I kept coming and I kept coming and I kept coming for the feeling in the class. And what I didn't realize was happening is I was retraining the neural pathways in my mind. I was becoming a different person because of how my physiology, right, how my body was moving, how I was standing, my language, the kind of things that I said in my mind over and over again. It started to change the kind of things I said out loud and how I narrated my life to others. And the focus of my mind, it was no longer like, in my version of positivity, I'll get that when I get this, I'll get that when I get that, was really me saying, like, I don't have it, I don't deserve it, it's not for me yet, I have to change to deserve it. I was completely changing that focus as well. And so some things on the outside did change and some things didn't, but the big thing that changed was that my worthiness and my happiness and my joy were no longer inherent on those things changing. I got to have those. And so I became a devotee, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, followed Patricia literally around the world and started working for her. And when she left Equinox to uh, teach everywhere because we had exclusivity with Equinox, I joined the company as a partner to help her figure out what that would look like. And we created a whole online ecosystem and retreats and trainings, and became her partner. And then we moved to LA, her family and my family, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2 months after we got here. And I was her caretaker for 14 months. Her devoted wife had a job and was gone all day, and her kids were at school. So we spent every day together, working through what she was working through and planning intenSati for the future. And I'm blessed with the incredible community and practice that she created, and have been continuing it and making it my own since 2022. So that's a short story of how I found intenSati.
It's inspiring. My heart, right, with Patricia. Her and I met at a conference, and she said, I went to Tony Robbins, I read Miracle Morning, and I like put them together. It was something like that. And she said, and now, and as we're talking, I'm like, oh, wow, we're so aligned. Like our work is aligned, our mission's aligned, how we help people is very aligned. How many years ago was it that you went into that equinox class, that intenSati class in New York?
Well, it was October 14th, 2014. I'll never forget the day. It's been almost 12 years
Almost
now.
12 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Over a decade. Um, and what's the future, the mission for you is intenSati, like you carrying on Patricia's legacy, the work that you were doing together, is that the mission is reaching? I mean, you tell me.
Yeah. It's exactly it. It's like that ultimately, that feeling I had in the first class of, "Oh my gosh, I am so powerful. I am so powerful." Like, for more people to have that feeling and that realization, to have it come from such a joyful place, in the realization that we really do co-create. We can't choose our circumstances 99% of the time, even though we can choose, like, where we might be at a certain time, but we are always co-creating. So I like to say, like, I was doing backwards intenSati, and a lot of us are, because it's not like we can turn on or turn off when our words matter. So when we're walking around being like, "Oh my god, I know this isn't gonna work out. I know last time it didn't work out. I know it's not gonna work out." We're doing intenSati, right? We're repeating that mantra over and over again. So the realization that we're doing that, and if we do that consciously, our energy will be different and we'll feel different. When we feel different, we act different, and then we get different results. So if we're looking for results, it's less about like figuring out what we can move around on the outside, but like starting right at the beginning, the seed of that thought. And so my mission is for more people to have that joyful aha moment, the realization of their own power, because once you know it, you can't unknow it. And then you can either continue doing intenSati, or perhaps you do the miracle morning every morning, or you have some sort of practice that supports that once you know it. That's my mission.
I'm so inspired. I absolutely love this. For anybody listening who, they're like, "Oh, this sounds great," but they're just stuck in negative self-talk or they're stuck in limiting beliefs. And this is like conceptually they get it, but emotionally, like in their spirit, they're like, "I feel like I'm so far away from that." What is a simple way they could start using language differently starting today, starting tomorrow morning during their miracle morning? Like what could they actually do now to begin that shift?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to share that you don't have to believe any of these affirmations to say them. It's not like once I believe that I'm powerful beyond measure, then I'll allow myself to say it, because a belief is just a thought that we've repeated. So if we've been repeating
Ah, I
over and over
love
again,
that.
I'm not good enough, I'm
Say
not
that
good enough.
again real quick. Say that again. A belief is
A belief is a thought repeated. So a thought repeated becomes your belief. So whatever we believe is what has been repeated to us, that we've then been repeating internally. So when you say I am powerful beyond measure, you're not saying I finally have all the proof to finally be allowed to say I'm powerful beyond measure. It's I'm planting the seed because this is how I want to feel. I would love to believe this about myself. So I say it once so that I can say it twice, so that I can say it three times, so I can say it over and over and over again. And then that ChatGPT brain picks up and goes, "Hey, you are actually powerful beyond measure. You nailed that presentation earlier." Like, starts finding evidence and starts supporting that. And that's where the momentum begins in us. So first of all, we don't have to believe it to say it. So we can say it. But sometimes it feels like a stretch. If I'm feeling awful, like I'm powerful beyond measure might be too big. So we just think of it as a ladder. If I'm at the bottom of the ladder and I eventually want to get to the top, what's one step up? So maybe it's not power yet. Maybe it's just courage. I have the courage to try something different. I'm willing to see my circumstances in a different light. We don't have to go to I absolutely hate what's happening to me to I love it and I'm so grateful for it in one moment. We can go to I accept that it's happening. I would I'm deciding to show up differently even though my circumstance hasn't changed yet. The affirmation can grow with us.
mm. I love that. Like what you're saying right now is it's blowing my mind. I mean, really, it's like so simple but profound. And I don't know that I've even heard it said that way before, which is a belief is just a thought that we repeated. Because you think about it, even beliefs like growing up, like religious beliefs, right? If your parents were, if you grew up in a certain religion and you were repeat these beliefs repeated over and over, these thoughts, you go, well, that's what I believe. But if you had grown up in a different religion and those thoughts were repeated, that's what you would believe, right? So I love what you're saying is you don't have to actually have all the proof in the world that you are powerful beyond measure or even that you're happy. You go, what do you mean? Like, how could I say that that I am worthy of happiness when I've screwed up my life or my life's going terribly. And I love what you're saying because it's just giving this freedom and permission to go, no, like the words, the thoughts are that's what guides you. That's what shifts you. That's what changes. And for me, the way I the last couple of years I've been saying what you affirm repeatedly becomes your reality, which is very in line with what you're talking about. I love this. How does this all translate to your work guiding the savers in the Miracle Morning app?
Yeah, well, I feel seamlessly, but I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as you know, when you saw intenSati, it's like the savers come to life. We're moving, we're saying affirmations, we're meditating, we're visualizing. If you come to a workshop or a retreat, we are reading and writing. So it really it was the easiest yes, I feel, for these two communities to come together. And for me personally, the big difference for me with the app as it is now was, okay, how do we bring this from very much in person in the room visual to audio? This is going to be an experience in your ears and in your body. So how do we get the same energy in this new format, which was so exciting? Actually, rather than limiting, it actually really opened things up, because now it's just this person in their room can be doing whatever movement they want to be doing, and having with the environment around them that they desire. And so it was translating all of those different things into this audio format with the savers. So we're still doing all of that work. We're still focusing on physiology. So even before we get to the exercise portion, we sit with shoulders back. We're opening the heart. I recorded a track last week, actually, with extremely gentle movement, chair movement. And one of the exercises, if the only exercise you do today is bringing your shoulders back, the physiology of opening your heart makes a physical difference for you. So if that's your movement for the day, that's going to have an impact. So already translating what kind of movement, when we're moving from a 60-minute cardio class to maybe a 6-minute morning practice, what does that look like? And so we're still focusing on the power of physiology, the power of language. What am I saying to myself? What kind of input am I getting through my reading? It matters what I'm reading, what I'm scrolling and seeing, what book I'm picking up. And then the opposite of that, what language am I putting into the world? What am I writing? Because we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts in a day. And when we write one down, like think about, we don't say 60 to 90,000 things in a day. And we definitely don't write down 60 to 90,000 things in a day. So when we write something down, we're giving that thought the gold star, the trophy. You are the deserving thought who gets to be on this earth. And so when we do that, it's so powerful. The thoughts that we choose to write down, we're giving it physical form. So the Savers is this perfect container to really identify the different parts of what I do in intenSati, what we do in that practice, and really get it clearly lined up in a practice, and then bring it into your home. And you don't have to put on your gym clothes and your sneakers to do it. Wherever you are, you can be thinking about the input in my reading, that the output in my language, in my affirmations, in my writing, taking a moment to be silent. And that is a choice, to not just be in autopilot response mode, but take a moment in silence and then imagine, visualize, what do I want for myself today? What could be possible beyond what's just on my calendar? Or I look at my calendar and say, how could this work out the best possible way? And then some sort of, physical movement. It really, to me, was not only a seamless alignment, but this opening up of whole new possibility of the way that mission that I have, that impact that I desire to have, how that could come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kinda neat that you get to have your cake and eat it too, meaning you still lead into intenSati, and then you get the Miracle Morning, right? So it's like you're
It's the
getting to deliver
best.
your gifts in these 2 different communities, these 2 different brands, and in these 2 worlds. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Would you lead me/whoever slash whoever is listening or watching this on YouTube, through a little, 60-second to whatever you
Absolutely.
feel called, little, Miracle Morning Savers/intenSati slash intenSati experience?
Absolutely. Let's do a 60-second savers.
Okay.
So, wherever you are, let's do what we just said. Take a nice deep breath in, bring those shoulders up. And on the exhale, settle them down the back. If you're in a position to close your eyes, do that. If you're listening in the car, just take some moment to focus here while keeping your focus where it needs to be visually. Your heart is slightly lifted, your breath a little bit deeper than it was. just 10 seconds ago. The heart expanding on each breath. Take a moment to just feel what it feels like to be here in this body in this moment. And repeat either out loud or in your mind, I am here. I can meet this moment as I am. And I am ready to make this day my own rather than let the day make me. Let me share a simple truth, read to you a simple truth. And that is that how you show up for this moment shapes what comes next. You've been handed this moment, whether you chose it or not, but your role in it informs what it will look like next. And so I want to invite you when you're listening to this and you have a moment, pick up your phone, scroll through those text messages to someone you love. Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a child, maybe it's a friend. Open it up and write one line of appreciation, one line of gratitude, something that will let them know that you are thinking of them in this moment and that will let this energy not just live in your heart right now, but start to ripple outwards. Let's take one more full breath in and exhale. Shake it out, open your eyes. It can be that quick.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's this quick reset. I did what you just instructed about opening your phone and sending that little short message, to somebody this morning. I guess I knew you were the premonition of what you were gonna lead us through. My text to my daughter this morning was, "Sophia, always know that I love you and I'm proud of you, and that will never change." And
Mm.
then a love emoji, yeah.
It's
So,
so beautiful. And those are the affirmations that are becoming her. She's in the programming stage, right? Our kids are in the programming stage of what repetition I hear is what I believe. And so you sharing that gratitude and that love starts to program who she'll be when she's a parent.
yeah. Yeah, I saw a quote when she was in gymnastics class when she was probably 4 or 5, something like that, and I remember I was in the waiting room or watching, and, there was just a little poster on the wall, and I don't know who said it, but it was, like, "Careful what you say to your kids because your words to them become their inner voice," and it's like that it's exactly what you just said. And our words to ourselves become our inner voice, and our words to our significant other become their, you know what I mean? Like, the power of words it can't be understated, and it's probably maybe the most underutilized or even underrealized aspect of, like, where we need to put our focus and intention, and everything you've talked about today just really, solidifies that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we think to take that one step further, we think, okay, well, if I'm loving my family and affirming my kids and this and that, then that's enough. But the way we speak to ourselves maybe is even more impactful than that. If we're saying, I love you, you're great, and then they hear us beating ourselves up and berating ourselves, they're going to learn so much more from that than they're going to learn from what you say directly to them. So that narration of our life isn't just, oh, well, I can be self-deprecating all I want, but once I'm on that stage, I'm gonna say what I really mean. No, it's like the moments of our life that makes up our life. What we're saying on a regular basis, what we're saying in the mundane moments is really our experience of our life and how other people perceive us and then treat us. And then they're visualizing for us as they're going about their day. Oh, he's so sad. Oh, he's so sad. Oh, he's so sad.
Mm.
They're affirming and
Mm.
visualizing that for you. They're doing
Yeah,
backwards intenSati for you
energetically.
out in the world.
They're amplifying it energetically with yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for anyone that doesn't going back to the app, if someone's never used the Miracle Morning app or they don't use an app for their savers, what makes a guided savers experience different from someone just doing the routine on their own?
Mm. Well, first and foremost, you get to just plug in. You get to put your headphones in wherever you are and be guided. So there is no searching for affirmations. There is no figuring out what to read. There is no what kind of movement could I do where I am right now because we figured that all out for you. We said, like, in this space, in this time, um, here's the routine. I've got it for you. I'm guiding you. I'm holding you. All you have to do here is be present and willing. And also what I love about the breadth of options that we have in the app is that they're themed now. So you can have a savers that's on exactly what you are focusing on. If you want to focus on money, if you want to focus on relationship, if you want to focus on inner strength, there are savers for that. So we think about how much time it would take to figure out a visualization and find movement that aligns in affirmations, and then find a book and a passage from a book that supports that. It's so doable, and that work is powerful too. But if you want to just plug in right now and get it the next second, it's already been done for you. And being there with someone else's voice in your ears, I think, is a special experience. We often trust other people's words more than we trust our own. So if you're hearing someone guide you through it, I think there's a buy-in already energetically to, okay, maybe this is true about me. Maybe I really could become this person. Lucy in her closet believes it to be true, and I have to say I genuinely believe it to be true. I sometimes cry in that closet thinking about who is going to receive this, who is going to hear this, who is in this room with me, even though none of them are here. That's why I especially love leading the lifesavers within the app for the app communities, because I get to then see everyone that I've been talking to, and we get to be in the same virtual room together because we really are doing this all together. So when you're in the app practicing, you're not practicing alone. You're practicing alongside thousands and thousands of people who are doing the same practices with you, which automatically connects you energetically, and gets you out of your alone state.
Yeah, it elevates your consciousness, right? And
Yeah.
with so many others that are doing the same thing, it puts you in that energetic sphere. Um, oh, I feel so good right now. I love this. What was I going to ask you? There's one more thing I wanted to ask you. Um, Well, for anyone that doesn't know, before I ask you a final kind of question here, anyone that doesn't have the app, just so you know, you can go get it in the App Store, in the Google Play Store. You can download it for free. There is a premium subscription which has all of Lucy's tracks. And that's what I was just going to say was I wanted to acknowledge you that what you just shared is why you are the perfect person for the Miracle Morning, to be the voice of Miracle Morning. 'Cause not just your ability of having led intenSati for over a decade, like you are a master at all of the S.A.V.E.R.S practices and how to combine them. But it's that you cry in your closet. Like that when you said that, I'm like, see, this is you embody the heart of what I strive to embody of this movement and this mission, right? This isn't about selling books or selling apps or like this is literally this practice. The Miracle Morning transformed my life, and I felt a sense of God-given responsibility to share it with as many people as I could. And I'm just getting started. Like I always joke, there's like 3 million people have read Miracle Morning and done the practice, which means there's 8 billion people. And I'm going to strive for the rest of my life. And hopefully I can empower an army of Miracle Morning advocates and, I don't even know, trainers, coaches. Like I don't know what the future holds, but so even when I'm gone, like it just keeps going and we keep empowering people to what you talked about, which is they wake up every day and they believe in themselves and they experience joy like you did on that very first intenSati class with Patricia. Like, hey, you don't have to get smaller. You don't have to get the relationship. You can actually cultivate and generate love and freedom and joy as an inner state. And from that place, then you can go, if you want to get smaller, cool, but you're not doing it because you need to feel something better on the other side of it. You get to feel that on the front end, right? And that's what I love. Like that to me is the essence of what you're talking about, what you're teaching, what you're living, and what you are sharing in the app, in intenSati, in your work. So thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hal. If I had a mic, I'd drop it. You just said it. You said everything.
Got it.
You said everything.
All right. So for anybody that is listening that, if you want to get the app again, that's easy. That's the App Store, the Google Play Store. But if they want to go deeper with you, like intenSati, that is not, you don't just lead it, you empower, you train, you empower intenSati, what do you call them? Facilitators, trainers?
Leaders.
What do you call them? Leaders. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbara Reisig is one, right?
Yeah, she sure
So for
is.
those that don't know, like we're all, what'd you say?
She's one of my best friends. We did training together. That's where we met, in intenSati leader training. And we never left each other's side.
That's a bit. So for those that don't know, like we're all one big happy family. Jeremy Reisig, who is our Chief Growth Officer of the Miracle Morning, his wife Barbara, and Lucy were in the same intenSati class 12 years ago, and they now are both doing this work. So, where can people find you outside of the Miracle Morning app?
First and foremost, do find me in the app. I'll meet you there on your very first day on
Okay.
your onboarding. You don't have to worry about how, like, where do I go once I'm in the app? We guide you from the moment you get in. I'll be there waiting for you. If you want to find me outside the app, on Instagram, I'm the Lucy Osborne. The Lucy Osborne. That is me. And you
With
can
an E at the end of Osborne, just to be
yes,
clear.
and yeah, not like no you like Ozzy. Osborne. I'm sure
Yep.
it'll be in the show notes too. But
Yep. Yep.
intensati is a funny word to say in spell. So you can find me on Instagram and find me anywhere there. Or if you want to look up intensati, intensati.com. Your first class is free. We've got all of our things there. But anywhere you find me, you'll find all of my things. So I hope you do find me. Because just like crying in the closet thinking about you, if you have the same feeling now, I have tears in the corner of my eyes. So I'd love to like actually know who's experiencing this right now. Come say hi to me.
Yeah. Lucy, I love you so much. This exceeded my expectations. I'm so grateful for the conversation we just had. It was really special.
Me too. Thank you for the opportunity to keep like rippling outward and every time we come together, Hal. I appreciate it so much.
You got it. Well, everybody that's listening, goal achievers, I love you. Lucy loves you. She's crying in the closet thinking about you. Share this episode with somebody that you love that could use little positive affirmations in their life because we all could use that. Love you so much. I'll
Mhm.
talk to you next week.